today actually I am going to talk related to the impact of quantum computing on cryptography. And since it is a post-launch session, so I will not discuss means very much deep maths behind it. But yes, we will discuss how quantum computing actually affect our cryptography and how we can actually overcome such type of threats if there is any such in the real world. Okay, so yes, one more thing means if you have any doubt and query, so please stop me by raising hand so that we can discuss the doubt or any clarifications you require at that time only. Otherwise, I have to again come back to the means previous slides or so. So it would be better if you have any doubt or queries, just discuss at that point of time. Don't wait till the end of my presentation. Okay. Okay, so yes, means this is normally I prefer this disclaimers nowadays because all of the pictures, means not all, or I can say most of the pictures are taken from the freely available website. And if there is any reference in the slides and I am using that, so most of the informations are taken from that slide, means reference only, whether I am using quotation mark or not. And any mentions of the commercial product or any organizations, so that basically I'm giving you for the reference only, but I am not endorsing their product or the organizations. I am also not saying that those are the best product or best organizations in the world. So these are the few disclaimers. Now yes, what we will do in this talk, first I will introduce what the quantum computing actually impact this present day cryptography. I don't know means whether all of you are aware of cryptography. So I will invest say 5 to 10 minutes related to the cryptography in just say at most means 10 minutes regarding the classical domain. So the cryptography actually presently what we are using today. Then yes, if quantum computer comes and the impact of quantum computer on cryptography, we will move to quantum cryptography. Yes, we are actually using quantum cryptography nowadays in the sense the quantum key distributions part. So quantum key distributions presently available in the commercial domain also. So anyone can buy the QKD product from means market. After that, we will move to the post-quantum cryptographic algorithm. So they are basically nowadays they are developing. Yes, NIST is organizing this competitions. Most probably, we will have such a standard post-quantum technique by the end of 2023. We are hoping so, if there is no delay at their end. Okay, so that will be the outline of my talk. Yes, now first coming to the impact of quantum computing. Yes, most probably you heard about that from the previous talk. So there are a lot of promises you can have using this quantum computing in the domain of medical, artificial intelligence, weather forecasting, and many more. Yes, however, it poses a significant threat to the cryptography. So that's why actually we will notice or we will see in this lecture how we can overcome such type of threats. Yes, requiring a change how to encrypt our data. So present day actually we are encrypting using certain schemes. We'll just quickly go through those schemes and then we will come to the new means development in that field of post-quantum computing. Yes, even though quantum computers don't technically have the power to break most of our current forms of encryptions yet, we need to stay ahead of the threat and come up with quantum proof solutions now. Yes, presently we have certain types of quantum computer, few are universal quantum computing and few are optimizers. And obviously the quantum computing with the qubit required to break the present system, we don't have such type of quantum computer today. So obviously I can say that Presently, we don't have any threat. Okay, so yes, first it's a quick overview related to cryptology. So cryptology actually consists of two different branches. One is cryptography, another is cryptanalysis. I normally define cryptography in this form is a science which deals with how to achieve pain. Yes, the pain means basically privacy and confidentiality, authentications, integrity, and non-repudiation. Earlier, the cryptography mainly dealing with the these four functions, that is confidentiality, authentications, integrity, and non-repudiation. Nowadays, not only the privacy but availability is also one of the important part of this cryptography. So nowadays, obviously, the domain of cryptography is much wider than the earlier. Okay, so yes, there is a subtle difference between privacy and confidentiality. Normally, confidentiality deals with the data and privacy deals with the person. Okay, so confidentiality means suppose you want to send a message M to the receiver end. So with the help of certain mechanism, so you actually transform that message into form of other form. That form you can send through the open channel like internet. Knowing the transformed form of the message, the adversary should not able to get the information unless he receives the key. So that is the part of confidentiality. Similarly, for the authentication, yes, suppose I am sending you a message, you should know that yes, the message is coming from me only, not any other participants or any other person. Now, integrity, yes, suppose I am sending you a message M, and after receiving that message, you should be able to know that yes, there is no interchange or there is no bit interchange during this transition. So if I send you a message M, you should receive that message M only, not another message M. Non-repudiation, suppose I am sending you a message M. After sending that, I should not be able to deny such type of scenario that I did not send you the message. So that should not be the scenario. So that actually the main purpose I can say for the cryptography. And yes, cryptanalysis is a science, so it deals with how to defeat of achieving pain. So there is always a challenge between this designer and the analyst. Rivest actually defined this cryptography in a single sentence. That is one of the this beautiful way he defined that. So Rivest basically one of this R and RSA. Okay, so cryptography is about communications in presence of adversary. So this is all about cryptography. Now, how we can actually achieve such type of things, your confidentiality, authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. Okay, so there are basically, we can broadly divide the cryptography in two different categories. One is your secret key cryptography. Okay, in this type of scenario, the sender and receiver will have the same key. Yes, one thing you remember, so this is an encryption function. This function takes two input as an argument. Everything is known. The function is known to everyone except that key. So that is the only part. If key is not known to the attacker or anybody else, so he should not be able to encrypt as well as he should not be able to decrypt the part. So if in the symmetric setting, the key used for encryption as well as key used for decryption will be same or similar. Similar in the sense, if you know the encryption key, you can immediately find the decryption key, say either in a linear operations or in polynomial time computation. So there is an efficient way to compute decryption key from the encryption. These are the oldest type of crypto system actually we are using before say 1970s. Almost all crypto systems are based on this type of setting. So there is a function which actually key dependent function. I can convert the plain text based on this key and I can send that ciphertext through open channel to the receiver. So this is the main setting of secret key cryptography. There are a lot of advantages. These are the most efficient cipher till today also with respect to the public key setting. And yes, sender and receiver have the same means If sender is able to encrypt that, receiver also able to encrypt such type of message. But the main drawback, how we can share this key to the different users. So suppose there are n users, almost we require so NC2 keys. So how we can distribute those keys before starting our communication. So that is the one of the major disadvantage for this type of setting. Then actually in the literature actually it's came that in 1970s or end of 70s 78, so RSA actually published the public key concepts, but before that British government actually using this type of concepts in a classified domain. So in the literature we can say in 1970s actually we have that public key setting. The advantage of this public key setting is you can actually publish your public key in a public directory. Something like, it's not exactly the similar, but you can roughly assume that you can publish your email ID. I can get your email ID from your institute site. Okay, so that is publicly available. So knowing your email ID, it should not be able to actually, I will get back the password. So that should not be the scenario unless you are using the most commonly used password. Okay, so if that is not there, then obviously we can say that in the public key setting, you can actually publish your public key. Using that public key, anyone can send you the message or anyone can send you the ciphertext based on your public key. So you do not require to distribute your encryption key before. You can just publish your public key in your public directory. Okay, and then the private key, that is basically your the password you can just assume for the time being. So your password should be kept with you only. Nobody else can actually have the access of your password. So based on that, you only can able to decrypt. So this type of setting, there are a lot of advantages. There is no requirement for key distributions. Yes, this type of setting gives you the new protocol, that is digital signature. It also gives you the long-term security. Normally in the symmetric key setting, we prefer that your key should be changed by at most 3 months, or depending on the applications, you can change the setting at most in say 6 months, but not more than that. Okay, but in the public key setting, you can actually keep your key means many longer times. But the disadvantage, obviously, much slower than the symmetric key setting. So we take the advantage of both. So the advantage here is basically you do not require to key distribution part, and symmetric key are efficient. So we take the advantage of both these settings. We design a hybrid crypto system. So in hybrid crypto system, what we will do, we will encrypt our message using the secret key concepts, since it is much more efficient. Okay, so in that case, public key will be used to send the symmetric key, that is a smaller length. You can say at most for the present scenario, we will have 256-bit key. So use your public key to send a 256-bit message, and then using that 256-bit message key, you can encrypt your 1 GB or 1 TB data. So there is no advantage, or I can say disadvantage, to distribute the key. You can use the symmetric key distributions encrypting your public key. So use the receiver public key, encrypt it, and then encrypt the message and send it to this. So this is called your envelope. Okay, so this is the main setting. Yes, there are a lot of applications. I all know means that all of you know why actually we are using this crypto in day-to-day life. So if you go in the Google setting, you will find that there is this S. So if you click this lock, you will find that the technical details, that it is encrypted using TLS 128. So this is your symmetric key, advanced encryption standard with 128-bit key, along with Galois counter mode, that is the authentication mode, and then SHA-256. This is a cryptographic hash function. So since it is using TLS 1.3, so already means my machine authenticated once. So it means does not require further authentication. So here, if you notice that in TLS 1.3, we do not require any public key to send this 128-bit key. But yes, in the online banking, since they are using still TLS 1.2, here you can notice that they are using elliptic curve defilement key exchange, that is the public key, to exchange this 256-bit key. So that this 256-bit key actually used for your AES 256. Okay, and also use that RSA for the forward secret along with this GCM mode. So these are the applications of cryptography we are using in our day-to-day life. Okay. So now coming to the overall classifications of cryptography. So not only the symmetric key or public key, but I can classify this entire cryptography in broadly in two different settings. One is your classical domain, that is the cryptographic algorithms can be implemented in our present day means computer or laptop, and in the quantum setting. So here actually we require such type of algorithms where we require a quantum state to execute this. Something like your QKD, quantum key distributions, quantum secret sharing, quantum random number generator, and there are many others also. So those falls under this quantum cryptography. Now in the classical domain, we have categories like your traditional, normally what we are using in our present day scenario. So that is your secret key, public key, and unkeyed. So secret key is basically a block cipher. Block cipher means you encrypt your message with a fixed length of block. And stream cipher is basically depends on, nowadays we are also using this word oriented stream cipher. Otherwise the unit of this stream cipher either a bit or a byte or a word. Okay, so nowadays actually we are using word oriented stream cipher. Otherwise in the earlier setting the unit of this obviously a bit, and this is message authentication code. So it's based on your block cipher and stream cipher both along with the hash function. So when we use cryptographic hash functions to authenticate a message, in that time we require a key. Otherwise, in the hash functions, we do not require a key. So these are the unkeyed crypto primitive, but these are the most important primitive, that is hash functions, random number generator, and secret key. Now coming to the traditional block cipher, that is your public key setting. So RSA, ECC, all are there in this. After that, we can divide the post-quantum cryptography. So
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Why you have put post-quantum under this classical domain?
Okay, great. So yes, post-quantum cryptography. Why that post-quantum cryptography under this classical or conventional domain? Yes, the system actually post-quantum cryptography terminology coined by Dan Bernstein. So all these type of algorithms can be implemented in classical domain. Okay, so
it's 15
here
hours.
this classical or conventional domain, actually all those algorithms you can implement in your laptop or in your PC. Presently you have. So with the help of classical computer, I can implement all those algorithms. But those algorithms can be implemented in the classical domain, but can be secure against the classical as well as quantum computer. So that's why the term post-quantum. Is it clear now?
So you are saying that even if quantum computer comes, somebody will not be able to break this post-quantum algorithms.
Yes, with this assumption that till date there is no threat to this type of algorithm, or I can say broadly that there does not exist any classical or quantum algorithm to break the mathematical concepts under this type of setting. So we'll discuss that. Yes.
And RSA comes under then what kind
Yes,
of?
RSA comes under this public key setting. So RSA is not post-quantum cryptography. RSA is a traditional cryptography, which is a public key cryptography. Okay, so RSA comes under this block cipher, this domain. So RSA and elliptic curve also comes under this block cipher, but it is under this public key cryptography. RSA also takes as a block as an input. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Now coming to what we will discuss today. So if time permits, then obviously we can discuss the entire thing what I actually highlighted here. So post-quantum cryptography, that is mainly public key cryptography. So what will be the effect of post-quantum in the private key setting? We will discuss that part, but we will not go in detail. So there are 5 different categories under this, and we also discuss that quantum key distributions part under this quantum cryptography. Okay, so I don't think anyone is covering that quantum key distributions part in your schedule.
No, sir.
Okay, okay. So far, do you have any other questions? Any questions from the other member or other participants? If not, then I can move to the next slide. Okay. So, yes. So the key word actually. So quantum with respect to cryptography arises at least 3 different contexts. The first obviously relates the existing technology of varying degree of practicality. The second concern that important technology not yet existing but high relevance today. Okay, so that is the present scenario actually. And the third concern, obviously, technology neither exists today nor likely be relevant in near future. So we don't know that part since we don't have any quantum computer with sufficient qubit register. Okay, so this is basically, oh, yes, that is open still now. Okay, and the revolutions coming obviously if you actually going through the technical news or not even the technical news, even in your daily news, sometimes you notice that there are news from China or from IBM that they have developed this type of quantum computer or they achieve quantum supremacy. Okay, so such type of activities are presently going on since say I can say from 2017 onwards, there are a lot of developments in building the quantum computer. So quantum computer, most probably Susmita Rules actually mentioned that part. I don't know whether actually I am not able to attend her lecture. So I actually don't know what she covered.
Actually, so madam already told a little bit about IBM QX machine very briefly, but she told that a 73 qubit or a 53
Yeah,
qubit
79
machine is,
yeah, that is also there. 79 is there in the existing one. Okay, so we'll quickly go through that and then we'll come to the main part. Okay. So yes, quantum computer will be a significant impact on cryptography according to the theory, but not in practice. I am not saying in the practice. So because some talks related to cryptography that's currently computationally infeasible on the conventional computer, but you will have that if you have a quantum computer, then you can able to solve such type of problems in polynomial time also. Okay, quantum computer can break existing cryptography. So why don't we design new cryptographic algorithm? So that's why actually NIST performing such type of PQC competitions. Okay, so what's the effects of quantum computer and public key? So in 1980s actually started these concepts that you can have a computer based on quantum mechanics. First, so there are a few developments here also related to the QKD part. So in 1988, you will see a major development, and then 1991 few algorithms related to quantum key distribution. But since I am talking related to quantum computer here, so I am not discussing this part related to the quantum cryptography. Okay. Yes, in 1994, Peter Shaw actually gave an algorithm that integer factorizations can be solved in polynomial. So after that, there are a lot of developments in that direction. So Source in 1994 briefly present his work that there exists a polynomial time algorithm to solve the integer factorization problem and the discrete logarithm problem. You can visit the entire paper. Actually, entire paper now freely available in means archives. You will find in 1996 the complete paper published in 1996 in the archive, but the original paper published in 1994. So that's why we mentioned that Source algorithm, actually Source embedded this algorithm in 1994. Okay, so here actually what is this integer factorization problem and discrete log problem? So yes, if I give you P and Q two distinct primes, okay, so if I say if I ask you just multiply these two numbers, then obviously this is a easy way, or you can have a polynomial time algorithm to multiply any two large integers. Okay, now suppose I don't give you this P and Q, and if I ask you, I give you this n, and now I am asking you just factor that n. You know that n is composite, so according to the maths, since it is a composite number, we can have means distinct factorizations, or according to the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, what that said, that if n is composite, n can be factored into powers of primes. Okay, but whether we will have or we can find this type of PQ, so that is a big challenge in today's world also. So in the classical computer, there does not exist any polynomial time algorithm to solve such type of problem. Okay, so mathematically we can form this type of problem in this form. Another problem is discrete logarithm problem. So means okay, I will not use such type of maths here. What I can say, yes, just consider that. Suppose you have certain type of groups where G is a generator, meaning using G you can actually generate all the elements of G. So if I can write it down explicitly, I can write all the elements in the form of G to the power 0, G to the power 1, and so on, G to the power n minus 1. Okay, since it is of order n. Okay, so G to the power 0 will give you the identity. Okay, now what the problem? Suppose you know H and G. I am giving you that H and G, and I am also saying that H is of this form G to the power x. Now find the value of x. So that is your discrete logarithm. So in the normal means scenario, what will be this? X will be your log H to the base G. Since we are dealing with this discrete domain, so that's why it's called discrete logarithm problem. So this is also a sub-exponential problem. So there does not exist any polynomial problem to compute or to find the value of x given H and G. Now coming to the source algorithm actually. So in general, the integer factorizations in the classical domain, the efficient algorithm using this number field shift, you will find that the computational complexity is sub-exponential. Okay, and source algorithm in the quantum setting, actually we can have this type of computational complexity. So I can say even in the worst case scenario, that is a cubic, so that is polynomial. So if I consider this entire thing as log n, so in the worst case scenario, obviously I can say that you can actually compute the factorizations using source algorithm by log n cube. So this is a polynomial with respect to few your
Sir, you are not audible.
Hello, sir. You are not audible.
I'm trying to call sir.
Uh, Good afternoon. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
sorry, I did not check that. Means okay. So I don't know means whether
Sir,
you were there in this slide or not.
Sir, please share the slide again.
Okay, okay, yes. Okay, so whether you were there actually in that time or
no, sir. Actually, not yet visible. Slides not yet
not
visible,
yet
sir.
visible.
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay, okay, okay. Whether it is visible now,
Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
so whether actually I cover this part, you were
Yes,
able
sir. That
to
part covered.
that part
Yes,
complete.
yes, sir.
Now this part
Yes.
also.
No, no, no. This part you just started, sir, discussing, and then we are
Okay,
actually.
okay. So I will repeat this part again. So what actually I was saying that suppose for the today's scenario, what's the size of our n in the case of RSA is basically we consider 2048 bit n. Okay. So 2048 means around 600 digit number, 600 decimal digit number. So now suppose I give you a 600 decimal digit number. Okay, and I ask you to factor that number. So that is not possible in today's computation power. Even in the best classical algorithm using this general number field sieves, that also requires sub-exponential time. So if you look into the computational complexity of GNFS, so you find that this is also sub-exponential. This is not polynomial. So any algorithm which is not polynomial, we cannot say that is an efficient algorithm. Okay, or we cannot perform that operation. So in this setting, we can say that RSA is secure based on this property. But If we have a quantum computer, then the computations for integer factorizations of large number actually requires log n square, log n, and log n. Okay. Now, even if we say the worst case scenario, in that case also we require not more than log n cube operation. So, quantum computer does not require more than log n cube operations to factor such type of integer. So it is a polynomial and cubic, so obviously efficient way to compute the integer factor. Now suppose we have, along with obviously there are few pre and post processing. Okay, so along with this, what we can have, so if we have a quantum computer with sufficient register, then obviously I cannot say the RSA will be secure, because RSA is based on this problem, hardness of finding the factor of a composite number of this form.
So
Is it-
what is that number? What is that sufficient number of register?
Yes, okay, we will come to that part. Just wait, why I am saying this, actually I am not giving you the exact figure. Just in the next say 1 or 2 slides, you will notice that what should be the sufficient number to break this RSA or present day RSA.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
sir.
So what is the computations part? Basically, the quantum part of this source algorithm, there is only one step which actually requires your quantum computer, that is finding the period of a number. So period finding is not polynomial in classical domain, but using the Fourier quantum transform, you will find that period finding is polynomial. So if we find the period, and if this period is say event, in that case, if you notice this math, this is a simple math. So if R is event, then anyone can actually factor this. B to the power R by 2 square minus 1 square is basically give you congruent to 0 mod n. So I can say that n should divide either B to the power R by 2 minus 1, or n should divide B to the power R by 2 plus 1. So based on that, we can factor that. Okay, so Dr. Harish will discuss entire this thing in detail, along with most probably the practical demonstration using this IBM cloud. Okay, so you will see this, how we can actually implement this algorithm. For a toy also, you can actually visualize this. Yes, so since if we have a quantum computer with, okay, with sufficient register, I will come to that part. What should be the size of that register to break the present day RSA and the DSA algorithm? So digital signature algorithm based on RSA, we call it like DSA. Yes, now the question comes, whether that elliptic curve cryptography, that is also a public key cryptography nowadays using. Even I showed you that slide on the online SBI case. So they are also using elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman key exchange for exchanging 256-bit key. So whether that will be secure? Yes, directly I can say that source algorithm cannot break the elliptic curve discrete log. But in 2003, Prose and Jalka actually extend the concepts given by Sohr, and they prove that yes, discrete logarithm problem based on elliptic curve also solvable in polynomial time. So in that case also, we cannot have any elliptic curve cryptography in that. Obviously, the present day or conventional public key cryptography will no longer be secure in presence of quantum computer. Now, yes, what should be the sufficient register to break this RSA? Yes, to break the RSA 2048, we require 4098 qubits. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so we require 4098-bit qubit quantum computer to break this present day scenario. Nowadays, we don't have more than 100 qubit quantum computer. So that's the challenge. How we can actually build such type of system to exactly attack our real world cryptography. Similarly, yes.
Sir, I'll interrupt you once more because I wanted to have one question here. That
Yeah.
you said that we need 4098 qubits, and of course, in today's world, we have up to 100 qubit of machines.
At most,
But
yes.
even with 100 qubit of machine, we are struggling hard to retain the state and to run
Yes. There are a
algorithms.
lot of actually informations we require for quantum error correction. Yes.
Yes, lot of challenges are there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
going to the 40 more levels will be very, very difficult and
Yes.
may take many, many years, probably.
Yes. Any other? That is a good comment, I can say. Yes. That is it. Any other questions or queries so far? No. Okay. So yes, for the elliptic curve, we require 2330 qubits. So that is basically the, suppose we have around 5000 qubit quantum computer, then I can say, means yes, this is a very big assumption. If we have a 5000 qubit quantum computer, so we can have that we do not actually able to use our present day public key cryptography. Okay. So whether quantum computer will be your weapon of description. So it's obviously true for the public key cryptography, but I cannot say this will be true for the symmetric key. So obviously quantum computer will not be your weapon of mass descriptions. We have certain algorithms in the cryptography that will be secure in presence of quantum computer. Okay. So what happens to the symmetric key? So nobody has figured out till today to apply source algorithm in any of the form of or attacking any symmetric key cryptography system. However, we have this 1996 that Grover's algorithm, quantum search. Yes, so that actually reduces the computational complexity or exhaustive search of our symmetric key setting. So instead of requiring order n operations, we only require square root n calls to find the exhaustive keys. What will be the impact of that? So suppose we are using 128-bit key for present day scenario in the symmetric key. So in the classical scenario, we require 2 power 128 computations to find the key. That is the brute force attack. Suppose you are using 128-bit key, so you require 2 power 128-bit key, means a search. That is the worst case. So based on that, if I actually apply Grover's algorithm, in that case, what we will have is square root of 2 power 128. So that gives you 2 power 64. So yes, it will impact this symmetric key, but we can actually recover such type of settings if I just simply double the key size. So instead of using 128-bit key as recommended for the today's security for the symmetric key, we normally use 256-bit key. In that scenario also, we will achieve 128-bit security. Is it clear now? Or there is any doubt? So there is no threat, I can say, for the symmetric key. What we have to do, we have to just double the size of the key. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this algorithm actually Lovegrove proposed in means 1996. He is from means Ghaziabad, and he did his BTech from IIT Delhi, then went to US. Okay, so the entire setting, what we discussed so far, so you can just, we can summarize with this table. So for the symmetric key setting, the impact of quantum computer will be like this. Suppose we are using 128-bit AES. So present day, this is 128-bit security. In presence of quantum computer, it will give 64-bit security. So we require 256-bit at least for AES in presence of quantum computer to achieve 128-bit security. Similarly for the others, you can just go through this. And here, if you notice, for the public key cryptography, so no public key cryptography will be secure anymore in presence of quantum. Okay, so all will be broken. Sorry. You can go through this paper. So that is basically I am taking this table from this paper only. Okay, so the timeline and development of quantum computing, I hope Susmita actually discussed that part, so I can skip this part. Okay, so there are a lot of developments, and if you are interested, you can also visit my LinkedIn page. Normally, what I do every month, I publish that crypto news. So that is actually now from last month actually published by CSA Quantum Safe Group, so Cloud Security Alliance by Quantum Safe Group from France. So you can visit that. That is freely available. You can have the latest development going on in the current cryptography. Most of the part you will find that the quantum safe security. Okay, so these are the few developments, and yes, the optimizer, that is not a universal quantum computer, that is DOF. So it actually made a news when they claimed that they have developed 1,000+ qubit quantum computer or quantum processor. So DOF2X. Okay, now yes, they have 5,000 qubit quantum computing facility in their lab. So just see the name. In 2019, they named that Pegasus. Now it's a news. So you can see that when they actually name this type of system, so might be they know that type of system that Pegasus is actually happened. And maybe means I don't know means whether it's a by chance or there is a coin. How they coined that name, I don't know.
So D-Wave is not exactly a exact quantum.
Yes, it's not
computer.
universal quantum computer because it solves a certain type of problem. And the community, they normally prefer this type of system as an optimizer, but it is not a quantum computer. So I can say that it is not a universal quantum computer. So certain type of 5,000 qubit cannot perform all the quantum computing algorithms. It actually can compute a particular type of algorithm. So for a particular algorithm, you require a particular system of DOF machines. So that is a very big challenge, I can say, for the DOF also. And they also claim that it is an optimizer, obviously, but not universal quantum computer. Earlier, means before say 2015, they announced that they developed a quantum computer. But based on the analysis among the community, so they actually nowadays normally they don't claim that they have developed a universal quantum computer. So it is a quantum optimizer, but it's not a.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sir,
So
it is,
yes.
sir, the DOF computer, is it a gate-based computation, or because I actually not yet have ever seen what kind of gate operation in DOF machine they perform?
No, actually they based on some optimizing technique, but
Okay,
I don't know exactly what their means processor based on. So I also
The
don't know.
underlying hardware is not known clearly.
okay, sir.
It's actually the designer actually wrote a book. I forget that name. If you require, I can send that book after the lecture. Okay, so that book I have. So the entire design principle is there in that book. So that is published during say
Okay.
2017, I think. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Okay.
So now, how much problem is quantum computing really? So it depends on, obviously, means these are the factors. How long do we need our encryptions to be secure? So say I require my encryptions to be secured for X years. And how much time it will take to replace the existing infrastructure. So existing infrastructure with large scale quantum safe solution. So suppose it takes that Y years for the deployment. And how long will it take for large scale quantum computer to be developed? So suppose you have a quantum computer in Z years, and if your X plus Y is greater than Z, in that case, obviously we need to be on. Okay, so that is a theorem given by Michael Mosca. Okay, so we can extend this type of theorem in the post-quantum setting also. So here are the situations. If we can actually achieve our post-quantum scenario, and not only these post-quantum algorithms, but the trust on those algorithms. So that's why we require such type of times, and obviously those type of systems cannot be just plug and replace. So we cannot replace our existing settings with based on this directly. So there are a lot of implementation issues. Actually, in last 2 years, they are mainly concentrating on the implementations part of post-quantum algorithms. Okay, we'll discuss that part. Now coming to quantum cryptography. Okay, so how much time I have? Okay, I don't have half an hour more. Okay, so what I will do, I will just give the idea related to the quantum cryptography. So quantum cryptography, yes, it's based on the principle of physics, but yes, quantum physics is well known for this counterintuitive. So one cannot take the measurements without perturbing the system. So if you actually measures, you actually disturb that system. One cannot simultaneously determine the positions and the momentum of that particle with arbitrarily high accuracy. One cannot simultaneously measure the polarizations of a photon in vertical horizontal basis and simultaneously in the diagonal basis. So suppose you are using a particular basis, you measure a photon. If that is correct, then you cannot actually have the correct measurement in the diagonal basis also. So either of these two bases, you will find the correct measurement. In the other basis, you will find it wrong. One cannot draw the picture of individual quantum posts, and one cannot duplicate. Means you cannot copy and paste the quantum. So you cannot take such type of this. So this type of counterintuitive actually gives lot of advantage to design cryptography. So this type of property give you the advantage to design quantum cryptography. So based on this principle, actually the originally proposed quantum crypto system in 1988 by Bennett and Besserds actually. So that's why they call BB84 algorithm for QKD. Yes, so the concept is very simple. What I can actually do, just okay, for the timing, just assume that we have two different bases. One is rectilinear basis, another is alternate basis. So in the rectilinear basis, we have say horizontal and vertical polarizations of photons. And in the rectilinear basis or alternate basis or diagonal basis, what we have? We have 45 degree and 135 degree basis. So using these two bases, we can actually design a crypto system. Just remember what? That you cannot measure simultaneously both. So this statement is very useful, that we cannot simultaneously measure the polarizations of photon in vertical horizontal basis also and in the diagonal basis. So we cannot do that. So based on this, the principal idea, just the basic concepts what I can give you here. Okay, so suppose Alice wants to send a key bit. So Alice first randomly generates the key sequence. Okay, so based on that, Alice randomly selects the basis. So suppose Alice selects the diagonal basis or a rectilinear basis. So based on that, he will actually map 0 qubit with this. So suppose Alice selects the rectilinear basis or diagonal basis. So for the diagonal basis, that 0 bit information, this is your 0 bit information, can be sent through this plus qubit. Okay, and similarly, if she selects this diagonal basis or rectilinear basis, A is your rectilinear basis. Yes, please remember this part. A is your rectilinear basis and B is your diagonal basis. So for the rectilinear basis, what I am saying, it's basically 0 can be represented by this, and in the diagonal basis 0 can be represented by this and 1 can be represented by this. Okay, so that is the representation of this. So what the mechanism? First, randomly generate a key. Alice randomly selects the basis. Based on this choice of the basis, she sends the informations through this photon. Okay. Now, Bob does not know what basis actually Alice selects to measure this. So Bob can also randomly select his basis. After selecting this basis, Bob will get few information. Maybe correct or not, we don't know. Even Bob does not know. Now, after this setting, so why we require? So after this time, we require the quantum channel. So for quantum key distributions, we require both the channels. One is quantum, another is classical. So in the quantum channel, after sending these informations, after receiving the informations by Bob, Alice can publish her choices of the basis publicly. Now, Alice only published the choices of the basis, but not the element actually. So Alice can just publish the choice of her basis publicly. Based on that, Bob decides in which place actually Bob's measure the with respect to the same basis. Those informations will be the correct informations and remaining will be false. So Bob will discard all those information. Okay. So in general, we can say after sending the informations from Alice to Bob, 50% of the time, Bob can get the correct information. Now, after that, there may be few noise in the channel. So, remaining this 50% information, Alice can simply announce that my fifth bit is 1. Similarly, my ninth bit is or 8th bit is 0. So just go with random 50% of the bits. They will match. If they actually match the 50%, then the declared bit basis. So those bits should be deleted for the key. We cannot use such type of bits because we publicly announce those bits. So that's why the main drawback in this setting, suppose we want to share a n key, we normally time in bit from transform. That is one of the disadvantages of this. Yes, normally suppose you want to share an n key, equal to 10 bit information to the receiver. And this is entirely of the quantum advantage here is even if there is an eavesdropper. For the classical channel, if there is an eavesdropper, that passive eavesdropper, not active, so we cannot able to detect that passive eavesdropper. But here, if a passive eavesdropper is there, in that case also we can detect that eavesdropper is present in the channel. Okay, so that is the quantum cryptography. Yes, a lot of development going on this quantum cryptography part, and obviously China is leading in this part, both in their directions, either in the free space or in the fiber optics. So in the free space, they normally set up that around 8,000 kilometer quantum communications between Austria and China. And in the fiber optics also, they achieved around 450 kilometer range quantum key distributions. So in the both the directions, China is leading in with respect to the quantum key distributions part. Okay, and yes, our last means union budget, that budget 2020, it announced 8,000 crore for DST project. So that is for the next 5 years for quantum technologies. So I think means a few of the projects from IIT Kharagpur also are getting from this fund. So there are means 4 or 5 channels, and SAR is also a member of that committee. So yes, there are a lot of developments, and yes, obviously I can say one thing, that now the entire money has not been sanctioned. Around say 100 crore given to means either Mohali, and few means for IISc Bangalore and IIT Bombay. I don't know means exactly the amount received by IIT Kharagpur. Okay. So
So
if you
the
are
amount is around 50 lakhs, but the
50
total
lakhs.
amount is not received yet. only a part has come. So
Okay, only
it
for fifth
is,
batch. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So there were two projects. One project when I was with the NIT Meghalaya, but as I
Yeah, yeah.
left, so
Mhm.
yes, so that
Mm.
project I had to give it up. So there were two projects basically earlier, but
Okay,
now there is only one project because I had to leave that project at that time.
okay, okay, okay. Okay, so now actually we can move to the post quantum part. So quickly, I will not go to the details of the post quantum, but what I can do, I can just give a means world tour related to this post quantum activity. Okay, so I am not going to discuss any algorithm in detail. If you are interested, I can refer few slide or few books if you are interested in that direction. Okay, so the post-quantum cryptography, yes, cryptography designed under the assumptions that the attacker has this type of quantum computer, but not the designer. Okay, so that is the assumption. Yes, so post-quantum normally deals with the design of such systems, cryptanalysis of such systems, the analysis of suitable parameter depending on the different threat model, designing a protocol using secure primitives. Now, what we are lacking in the post-quantum scenario, because we don't have a sufficient register quantum computer, so we don't know whether we can actually design few encryptions technique which actually requires quantum computer. So nowadays all the post quantum crypto system are actually implemented in the classical computer. So that is actually means open problem whether we can design any encryption technique which requires quantum computer. So that is also falls under this post quantum category, but yes, still it's open now. History, obviously there are a lot of history related to post quantum scenario, not only that after this 1994 paper by Peter Shor. So in 2003 actually Bernstein coined that term post quantum cryptography. So after that there are a lot of conferences, and since I can say yes, 2014, from 2014 there are big development in this area. So European Union actually, normally if you notice the working procedure in Europe, so normally they actually come closer as a consortium. So they work together with say 4 5 university or institute along with the industry. So that is the working procedure in Europe. So in Europe, actually in 2014, they proposed something of to develop post-quantum crypto, and it will be something like your Horizon 2020. So that was the proposal in 2014. After that, 2015 NIST hosted a workshop on post-quantum cryptography, and 2015 also NSA planned a post-quantum world. So in 2016 actually onwards, the competition started. So we'll discuss the timeline related to the competition. And here, what are the difference between quantum cryptography and post-quantum cryptography? Yes, quantum cryptography mainly concentrate on the quantum key distributions part. Okay, but quantum key distributions not only the entire cryptography. So we can actually solve our key distributions or symmetric key distributions in presence of quantum computer using quantum cryptography. But we cannot solve our discrete log problem or digital signature. Sorry, we cannot solve the digital signature problem in presence of quantum computer based on the quantum key distribution. So that's why we require post-quantum cryptography also. Yes. Yes, there are many things actually. Okay, what I can do. Yes, that's the project actually I mentioned that European Union actually planned that it will complete by end of this. But before that, NIST post-quantum competitions actually happened. So all the candidates submitted in the European Union, they actually submit all those candidates to the NIST competitions also. The main aim for that post-quantum cryptography actually, the post-quantum cryptography for small devices, that is a big challenge nowadays also. Okay, post-quantum cryptography for internet, yes, whether we can directly replace that RSA and ECDH what actually we are using in our TLS. So can we directly replace this? Yes, Google tried that part in 2016 from July to December. In Google Chrome, they implemented both the classical cryptography and the post-quantum cryptography based on lattices. Okay, so they faced actually means more challenges, that it actually reduces the efficiency. It's much slower to send a packet from one end to another. So these are the challenges in post-quantum cryptography. Post-quantum cryptography for the cloud. So there are a lot of challenges related to the implementations issue of the post-quantum cryptography. But as a theory, obviously, there are a lot of proof related to the security of this post-quantum system. Okay, so initially what they recommend related to that European Union suggestions. So in 2015 also that document came by NSA that we should move for post-quantum world. So they initially recommend that you should use AES 256, because if you use AES 256 in presence of quantum computer, you still have 128-bit security. So you use symmetric key. If you are using block cipher, then so you should use 256-bit key. So that is most important for the symmetric key setting. And you can use SALSA 20 with 256-bit for the STEAM cipher. Similarly, for the symmetric key authentications part, you can use Galois counter mode, but your authenticated means nonce will be your 92-bit. Okay, so nonce means, I don't know how many of you are knowing, means nonce basically a number used once. So you just exactly use a number once, then you cannot repeat that one. So such type of means authentications you can use. And then poly also, if you are using STEAM cipher, then we prefer that you will use poly 1305 for the authentication. Yes, for the public key setting in presence of quantum computer, they recommend that you can use MACLACE, because MACLACE designed in 1978. So lot of theoretical study going or means actually lot of theoretical studies covered the security of MACLACE. Okay, and they recommended the parameter that you should use your NKT like 6960 and 5413 and 119 errors. So this is a code-based crypto system. Obviously, it is not as efficient as RSA or elliptic curve, but in presence of quantum computer, it will remain secure. So they recommend this. Then for the public key signature, yes, they recommend these two hash functions. Of those means you can find that this is also a still candidate in the third round for NIST, and MACLACE also one of the candidates for the post quantum in the NIST competition. Okay, so quickly go through the development in the post quantum scenario by NIST competitions. It started say from that workshop itself in 2015. So officially they announced this 2016 December just to organize the competitions. Then they received 82 algorithms in 2017, and among those algorithms, they cleared that 69 candidate can be taken as a first round candidate. So after that, in 2019, they announced 26 candidates for the second round, and then now in the third round, yes, in July 2020, they announced 7 round means a third round. We will have that 7 finalists and 8 alternate candidates. Now, if you actually notice the competitions conducted by NIST, these competitions is slightly different from the competitions organized by NIST for the AES or the SATRI. Okay, so in those competitions, they selected just a single candidate, but here they will not be able to select a single candidate. Okay, so they might select few candidates from the different principles based on this. Okay, and they also selected 8 alternate candidates, meaning they will give the time for studying those 8 algorithms for the security and the implementation part. Okay, so these are the activities. Actually, by the end of this 2021, we will have the final candidate or the winner of this round. Okay, and then officially they will publish the document after sanction from the FIPS. So what are the security criteria? Yes, security criteria as hard as AES 128, that is the security level 1. Similarly, as hard as SAR 256. So breaking SAR-256 means the collision search. So this is the different type of security setting for evaluation criteria. Then performance obviously measured with a variety of the classical platform. So that's why I use the term that post-quantum implemented in the classical world. So that's why post-quantum kind of under this classical domain. Other requirement, yes, there are a lot of challenges, whether we can actually just drop in replace. So whether I can drop this RSA and directly replace the code-based system. So there are a lot of challenges related to the implementation system. Yes, so what are the different design criteria? So there are commonly we can divide it post-quantum category in 5 categories. So lattice-based, code-based, multivariate, hash-based, and others. Others means only the extensions of elliptic curve, that is the super singular elliptic curve. So that is one of the candidates only, they are in this other category. So there are certain hard problems in the lattice. Finding shortest vector in lattice, there does not exist any classical or quantum algorithm or polynomial time. Any classical or quantum algorithm which can solve shortest vector problem in polynomial time. Similarly, to decoding a general linear code, there does not exist any polynomial algorithm to decoding any general linear code. Similarly, for this, solving multivariate quadratic equations over finite field. Okay, so you cannot find any quantum or classical algorithm which can solve this arbitrary multivariate quadratic equation over finite field in polynomial time. And collision search, obviously, it's not a polynomial time. So we can summarize the entire post-quantum scenario. Yes, we have this, but in the first round we have different directions, but we can actually come to the last round, that is the third round, which is currently going on. So yes, in the third round. So in July 2020, they selected this. The finalist algorithms may be declared, means say after 2021, the final candidate. Yes, so you can notice that these are the finalists. So these are the 7 finalists, and there are 8 alternates. So they will select by this year end candidate from this column only. So for the encryption part, you can notice that all three are based on lattice, and this is based on your similarly, these are based on lattice in the signature. This is based on your multivariate polynomial. So there are only one candidate in the finalist for the multivariate digital signature. You can based on that is random, and there is one alternate candidate here also. Yes, in the alternate candidate you will find some hash-based signature that is actually recommended by European Union in 2018 itself. So they are also selecting this part. And here also you will find that yes, this is the candidate which is the extensions of elliptic curve that is based on the super singular elliptic curve. So super singular isogeny. Okay, so super singular isogeny. So this is the principle of this design. So these are the all algorithms. We can actually have a look in this, and you will find the technical details as a theory document along with the code. Everything is available in the NIST site. If you are interested, you can just visit the NIST PQC competition site. You will find everything in detail. Okay, so I will not. Okay, so what? Yes, what I mentioned actually that by this year end you will actually have the finalists, and by end of say 2023 we will have the draft copy, and the final versions maybe by 2024. So we can extend this Michael-Moses theorem except this part. How long will it take to develop the trust on PQC? That is a big challenge. So whether we can trust or crypto community will trust a new design. So that is a big challenge. Obviously, crypto community is working in these directions. So if you have these inequalities, then we need to be worried. Okay, so that's all from my side. Yes, the references you can actually find. Okay, okay. So yes, if you are interested in crypto, if you are actually want to teach your means student, so this book actually normally I prefer for our BTech students, and this is also a very good book. But this is a very good book for the public itself. Okay. For as a overall means any BTech student you can prefer this book. This is also a very good book, and this is a book we can actually recommend for the network security part, but not for the cryptography. And this is like just like a novel. Actually, if you are interested, just reading this, this is something like a novel. Okay, and then your post quantum, yes, there are only two books based on this post quantum cryptography books are, but for a particular candidate, something like your lattice, you will find few books. Something like your code based signatures, you will find few books. You can actually refer these sites for detailed development of the PQC competitions for the NIST. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comment or anything from the audience now?
Okay, thank you, sir, for your nice talk. And now I'd like to request our participants, if you have any questions, please, sir is ready to take your questions.
Sir, I would like to ask you a couple of questions if the participants are not asking. So some of the participants are very eager to know about like suppose somebody knows a little bit about cryptography, how should they proceed with quantum cryptography? So you have given some list of books that they
Yes.
can refer to, but apart from that, can you suggest some broad research areas where they can look into?
For the quantum cryptography, yes, that is. I can actually recommend the best book for that is Quantum Informations and Quantum Computations by Nelson and Chuang. Otherwise, you can actually means if you are purely interested in quantum cryptography, then there are a lot of means activities going on quantum hacking. So in the ideal scenario, when we actually discuss this quantum cryptography, so the main part is that we actually means assume that the sender and receiver both are honest. So that is a big challenge when they are not in means in persons they are interacting. So suppose there is a machine to machine communication. So obviously we cannot trust a machine. So that is a big challenge for quantum cryptography with that type of assumptions that your sender and receiver should be trusted. So whether you can design a system, something like that. So some a few research is going on device independent quantum cryptography also. So there are a lot of research going on in that direction. So these are the one means directions you can actually how you practically implement your quantum key distributions or whether we can actually implement. Yes, there are few directions also that if obviously means the end users, all the end users may not have the access of the quantum setting. So whether we can actually design a crypto system in such a way that the sender
It's
side
16
have the
hours.
quantum access, but the receiver side can access through a classical chip. So these are the means directions you can actually move. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so now I would like to request our HOD sir, Dr. Shaikot Maiti sir, to felicitate Dr. De. Sir,
Thank you so much, Dr. Kole. It was really a nice and lovely presentation indeed, Dhananjay sir. And really, it means it's a mesmerizing presentation. I have a bit interest in this cryptography and the network security. So I was really listening this session. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
giving this lovely session for us. So it's a kind of token of love and regards to you, sir. Please accept.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And it's a digitally memento for
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Good. That's a nice
Thank you.
reminder.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time to our participants and to the GIS University. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.